I thought Jared and James both did some really good things. They played with a lot of energy. Jared's a guy that always runs the floor really, really well. We tried to get out and play in transition as much as we could, and so that was an area where he stood out. Both those guys block shots, really well. And, anytime you're in a setting where guys aren't used to playing together, it takes some time for them to get a feel for, where they want the ball and those sorts of things. So we're still a work in progress with that team.
Shaka, Jared didn't kind of have that eye moment like a lot of recruits did. What does that say about his personality? He was so low-key about how it all went down. He really stayed under the radar.
Yeah, he's not a guy that's caught up in attention, which I really respect. He's a laid-back guy, and I think for him, he really wanted to think through his decision and make sure that he did the right thing. But he's very, very competitive. He's got big goals in the game of basketball. He's a team-oriented guy, and ever since he got here, he's been terrific with our guys.
With this, long as that decision went, did Jared ever have you worried in there for any second that he wouldn't pick that?
That's an understatement. Yes, is the answer to that.
Coach, what are your expectations and hopes tomorrow for the Longhorns on draft day?
It's draft day is just a jumping off point for those guys. It's the beginning of a long journey in the next chapter of their basketball, progress. I think, it's the only thing that could happen tomorrow is obviously they could get drafted and be assigned to a certain team. But really what I want for them long term is just to be able to move towards having a really successful career professionally. Unfortunately, I think there's certain folks that look at success or failure based completely on where a guy gets drafted, but obviously there's a ton of examples of people that have had a lot of success that haven't been drafted as high as maybe people wanted. Probably the one that comes to mind quickest is Draymond Green. And I love the little clip of him that came out a couple weeks ago of him rattling off all the guys that got picked before him, including 2 guys on his own team. So I hope those guys, feel good about what comes out of tomorrow, but more importantly, I hope that moving forward that they can have success and, ideally make a team and be able to move forward and have a good career.
Shaka, what would you compare that Jared Allen recruitment to? And did you have a light moment with him once he got here when you were in Colorado?
Oh, we've definitely had some light moments. I can't really compare it to anything because it was unlike any other recruitment that I've been a part of. But I think all of us as coaches have been a part of some just different, unique experiences. Last year it was Tevin Mack signed with us at one place, and then we came here and had to go through a whole another process. But this one's definitely was a unique one, and I'm just appreciative of Jared and his family for believing in us and giving us the opportunity to help him become the best version of himself at the University of Texas.
Now that you've been through a full kind of recruiting cycle, what have you learned about recruiting as the Texas head coach and also recruiting in the state of Texas?
I've learned a lot, Dustin. I think recruiting in each region of the country is a little bit different, but at the same time, relationships are important everywhere. And when we first got here, you don't really have those to the extent that you want to. Now we're a little over a year in. We're trying to continue to cultivate those. I think, 3, 4, 5 years from now, hopefully they'll be even better. But I feel like we've made some progress in that area relative to where we were a year ago. Coming in, I knew the state of Texas had some terrific basketball talent and has some terrific basketball talent. And there's some really good coaches here, both on the high school level and the grassroots level. Those guys, they take a lot of pride in what they do. They work very hard with their guys. They put a lot of time into their guys, their teams. So got a lot of respect for that. And I think for us, one of the things that's important is doing a good job evaluating the good young players in the state. One of the things about the state is it seems like every year, I've not been here long, but it seems like every year there's some guys that are late bloomers, maybe compared to some of the guys that are highly regarded as freshmen and sophomores in high school, that come about and get better, and all of a sudden are guys that pretty much any program in the country would like to have on their team. 2 years ago, that was Kerwin Roach. Last year, that was Andrew Jones. So we're really fortunate to have a couple guys on our team that have kind of been that guy in the state of Texas the last couple of years. And so it's important for us as a staff to, as best we can, try to have a handle on who that might be. Because what happens in the month of April is you see some guys emerging, and then we can't watch them again until July. And then in July, there's some guys that just explode onto the scene. So we just got to do a good job trying to understand who those guys are going to be. Sometimes it's a guess, but I feel like we're making progress in terms of at least having a better handle than when we got here on who's who in the state, and who we need to be aware of and who we need to be talking to.
Did you learn anything about Jarrett or Banks in the trial?
Oh yeah, learned a lot about those guys. That was one of the best things about it for me, is just getting a chance to coach them and be around them on a daily basis. We spend a lot of time together on the court, because we only get 2 hours a week here on campus. So we were, in Colorado Springs on the court probably 4 or 5 hours a day. Learned a lot about those guys, and just the way to help coach them and help them become their best. They're both really hard on themselves, which I think is a trait of most successful players or people in any walk of life. But at the same time, I think as young guys at 18 years old, it's important for us as coaches to help balance that being hard on yourself with confidence, and just knowing that there's a lot of good things you're doing out here too.
Have you forced yourself to watch the Northern Iowa tape yet?
What happened to your eye, man?
You should see the other guy.
That's how I fell after Northern Iowa. I'm trying to think if I watched it or not. I haven't watched it recently. I think I watched it after the game, like the next week or so, but I haven't watched it recently.
Is that, for all the steps that you guys took as a program in your first year, how do you kind of reconcile that with how it ended, and how do you think of your first season as a whole?
Well, that was obviously a really, really disappointing ending. I was really pleased with the way that our guys fought and battled back in that game. If you remember, we got down as much as 16, and our guys showed a lot of fight. And one of the things that we knew early on in the year that we needed to improve on was our ability to respond to adversity and our ability to come together as a group when things weren't going great. And I actually feel like that was the best example of that, in that game. That's probably why the loss hurt so much, in addition to, for our older guys, it being their last game. I thought our guys were really doing a good job coming together And Northern Iowa, they just presented such an interesting, approach and attack. They literally had 5 perimeter guys on the floor, and so it was just a different dynamic playing against them. But yeah, I was pleased with the way that our guys showed fight. But then when you lose that game, it's always a heartbreaker to lose in the NCAA tournament, but certainly to lose on a half-court shot.
And on that note, the guys you have coming back, everybody's asked you about the recruits, but what do you expect from guys who, like Kerwin Rhodes, like Eric Davis?
Yeah, I mean, we need those guys to take a big jump because we lost a lot of guys. I mean, last year at this time, we had 12 scholarship guys, and between one transferring at the semester, 5 of them being seniors, and one, Isaiah, foregoing his last year of eligibility, we lost 7 out of those 12 guys. And so the 5 returners of that 12, those guys are going to need to really make progress. I look at it as exciting. I'd love to have Isaiah or Connor Lammert or Cam or those guys back, but this is college basketball. In college basketball, guys graduate nowadays. In some of the upper level programs, guys leave early, and if they don't play, guys transfer. So it's exciting for me, the opportunity we have. I think Kerwin Roach, Eric Davis, Tevin Mack, our 2 returning seniors, Shaq and Kendall, those guys have a chance to take a real jump. Now the question is, how much are they willing to understand and own their part of that? And so far, they've been really good. They had a terrific spring. They really worked in the month of April. They came back here. We started summer school pretty much the beginning of this month. They've really worked hard. What we're trying to do is really accelerate their growth, because when a guy goes from a freshman to sophomore, typically they take a big jump. But with those sophomores, we're trying to accelerate that, because they're going to have to play not like sophomores. They're going to have to play like juniors or seniors.
Is it fair to say that this year's team will be more naturally confident? I think you used that phrase last year than the team you had.
Yeah, I mean, it should be, but you never know till you get in the fire. So the good thing about young guys is typically they think they're really good. You know what I mean? Because they don't know any better. So that's a good thing. I want these guys to be confident, and we're going to. This is going to be a real interesting season from the standpoint of just growth, and I'm really focusing on, with our staff, and starts with me, us relentlessly pursuing where are areas where we can grow and where are areas where we can find progress in our guys. And I'm really excited about that. But this is going to be a different team in August than it is right now. It's going to be a different team in October than it is in August. And throughout the year, we're going to really emphasize growth, because when you have young guys, that's what it's got to be.
Shaka, on that note, do you feel like you're maybe not starting over, but does it feel a little bit like last year? I know that some of the guys that are here know you, but
yeah,
because it's such a different.
It does. It's last year we were starting over with everyone, and we didn't know anything about Texas. I mean, we just hadn't been here. This year, we have a year under our belt as a coaching staff. We've got, including 2 walk-ons, 7 returning guys that have been here and have a decent understanding of the things that we want as a coaching staff and our core values. And then we have these 6 new guys, so we're certainly starting over with them like you would with any other new guys. But the returning guys even are in such a different role, and it's such a different dynamic on our team, because the dynamic is no longer dominated by Isaiah and last year's seniors. Those guys set the tone for who we were. And I thought they did a really good job of being receptive to the things we asked of them when we came in. At the same time, those guys had been here for 2-3 years, and sometimes when guys have been around, certain things kind of are how they are. So in a lot of ways we are starting over, and that when you get a job, coaching job, that's how it is. I mean, it's going to take some time to get the program to the point where, all right, now when you go from one year to the next, everyone really understands and there's a smooth transition. It's we're still going to have some growing pains, but I'm excited about it. I think we got a chance to really make some progress.
Talk about your decision to elevate Jay.
Yeah, no, it was something that for me, it took me all of a couple hours when I first got here to realize that Jay Lucas is someone that he just got a real connection to this program, the players here, the former players here. Obviously with his connection to the city of Houston, being from Houston, with his family, just very, very. It was very obvious to me that this is a guy that we needed to have here. So, last year when I got here, we moved him up from where he was to director of ops. But I knew that we weren't going to be able to keep him in that spot very long because he's a young up and coming coach, and he's very, very bright. He's got a lot of understanding of the game of basketball. That's advanced for his age. And so, a situation came up this spring where, Jay had some opportunities to leave and take assistant coaching jobs somewhere else. And so we decided to reorganize our staff. And, I feel like on our staff, we have 4 guys that I view as an assistant coach. Well, the NCAA says you're only allowed to have 3. So we decided to reorganize Mike Morrell, and it's very, very important that we kept him on our staff because you guys know about my history with him. He's been terrific for me. He and I are very close, and he's in 1 year done a great job with our current guys and our program. So, his role is such that he's going to be already is working even more closely with me than he was before when he was in an assistant coaching role. And I think for him, it's an opportunity for some real personal and professional growth. One of the things that's been terrific is he's looked at it that way too. Mike is a head coach in the making. He's going to be a head coach relatively soon, but I think he realizes there's certain areas where he needs to continue to grow, and I want to help him with that. So he and I have been working very, very closely on some program stuff, some stuff with our guys, some basketball specific stuff, and he's been great about it. And then we have a third guy named Cody Hatt that we've elevated into the director of operations role, who's very, very organized and again has done a great job with our guys in the 1 year he's been here.
What's Mike's title and duties specifically?
Probably take me too long to tell you his duties. He's got a lot of them, but his title is director of program development. His duties, I guess to summarize, would be he's going to be working very, very closely with me on a lot of projects with our team, basketball stuff, some recruiting, organization stuff. He's really, really good with helping organize what we do from that standpoint. He's working really closely with our guys from a mentoring standpoint. One of the things that's important to us as a coaching staff is that we make sure our guys have 360-degree coverage around what they need in terms of just their daily life as student athletes. And, Mike's going to be very, very involved with that. And then with our coaching staff, he's really good at helping me organize a lot of the things that we do with those guys. So that kind of summarizes it, but there's a lot of specifics within it.
Is it a 1-year deal or
Oh, it's a change we've made for right now. I would say, you know, we'll see what happens from here. But I mean, it was really important to me that we elevated Jay, and it was also important to me that if at all possible, we were able to keep Mike on the staff and keep moving him forward in terms of his progression in his career. Because, like I said, I really believe he's going to be a successful head coach.
Shaka, I think you've expressed some concern over the lack of an academic support chief or clear direction in that area. Have you gotten answers as to where that's headed or how it's going to be rectified?
Yeah, I don't know how much first of all, I'm not necessarily in on all the inside of all that stuff, and I don't know how much I'm allowed to even comment on what I do know. I do know that Kat Hastings has done a terrific job holding down the fort, if you will, in academic support. She's done a very good job with our guys. She has a lot on her plate right now because, you know, there's a lot of demands in the athletic department in terms of academic support. And I know that, you know, Mike Perrin is working through making progress in that department. But you know, to be honest with you, for us, compared to last April when we first got here and Coach Kuiper's here, when he and I, you know, first went down to academic support, I mean, there's been some major progress, and I feel good about where we're going, and I know this. Mike Perrin is acutely aware of, you know, the progress that we want to continue to make, and he's been terrific about you know, being proactive with trying to move forward in that area.
I know you can't comment on specific players, but you have 2 scholarships left available to use. Do you want to fill one of those 2 roles going into next season?
It depends. I mean, we may or may not use them. Just depends.
Gotta ask.
So.
Coach, how much did Isaiah Taylor mean to this team over the last year, and how much did he consult you in his decision to go pro?
Oh, he meant a great deal. He had a terrific year, and I don't think he gets enough credit for what he did for our team after Cam got hurt. Because Cam went down, and you guys remember we weren't very good for a little while there, and you know, I think there was a real loss in confidence. We already had somewhat of a shaky confidence as a group, but then Cam, the guys were just kind of bummed out that Cam had gotten hurt. But the reality is, when something like that happens, you got to keep playing, you know, and you got to keep growing and figure it out. And I think Isaiah, along with Prince eBay, the 2 of them deserve a lot of credit for basically taking our team and saying, no, we're not allowing this to be the end of our season. We're still going to have a successful year. We're still going to be an NCAA tournament team, and he was huge in that, Isaiah. How much did he consult me? You have to ask him. I mean, Isaiah's a guy that he's really good at listening. I mean, he listens to pretty much everybody. But he's going to make his own mind up on whatever he's doing. And I think, you know, I don't want to speak for him, but I think when he decided to come back after his sophomore year, there was, in some ways, a mindset of, hey, I'm going to come back for this junior year. I'm going to make it the best it can be. And then, you know, I want to go after that. And I think that, you know, was kind of his way of thinking for most of the year. That being said, he was terrific with our team. I mean, he was never like, I'm over here and you guys are over there. He was never 1 foot out the door or anything like that. He was all in, and I appreciate that. I will always appreciate that. I tell Isaiah any chance I get that I love him. We talked on FaceTime. What's today, Wednesday? This was on Monday. And, you know, I probably talk to him and text with him just as much or more now than I did when he was here.
Do you see, right now, do you see Andrew Jones and Kerwin as both being able to handle the point?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, they're going to have to. They're going to have to. I mean, we're losing Isaiah and Javon. Those were, two of the steadiest, most poised guards in our conference. And all you got to do is watch the West Virginia games from this past year. And so now we've got these young guards who are really talented, athletic, have really good size. But those guys are going to really need to grow in those areas of poise, ball handling, decision making. That's huge. And those guys, they understand that they need to make some major progress in that area. And I'm just telling you what's going to happen is we start the season in November. They're going to be at a certain point. Hopefully between now and then they're really able to progress. But wherever they are in November, they're going to need to continue to really make progress in those areas I just mentioned. But again, I'm excited about it because I think they can. Their work ethic has been terrific. Snoop has gained a level of maturity after having been here for a year that he didn't necessarily have last summer. So I think those guys have a chance to take a big jump. But, I mean, there's going to be some times we're going to throw the ball around a little bit, and we'll look around for Isaiah. But you have that in any program when good guards move on.
Three last ones, please.
Shaka, what's your comfort level now with a full off season, getting to know the state, and then the fact that you don't have that trip to China and the logistics of that to start, and then you're going to the Bahamas for a week, and then just kind of an odd start to a first year.
Well, there was maybe I shouldn't bring it up because it's a sore subject, I guess, with Scott, but there was a bunch of Asian members of the media here yesterday doing this thing with KD. And they asked me about the trip to China. And so I was real positive. It was a terrific experience. We learned a lot, which is true. But it's really nice not having. It was just different. It was a strange, especially with it being our first year, strange dynamic where, again, we knew we were going to be gone for a week. We were going to miss a week of class. Then we were really concerned about the back end, coming back with another trip outside of the country. So our schedule will be released soon, probably, Scott, in the next few weeks. Our first 3 games are at home. So I'm excited about kind of getting our feet under us a little bit. In terms of just comfort level in the state, I mean, my family's good, so that's the biggest thing. I'm happy about, being here and that they're happy. People ask me about Austin. It's a great place. I like warm weather, so it's great. And like I said, on the recruiting side and on the relationship side, we really want to, in our second year, build on the start that we had in our first year and try to cultivate more relationships and learn more about this state.
Shaka, with the Horns in the NBA, how much have you learned about them in the last year, and what do you think they kind of mean to this program?
Oh, they mean a great deal. I think the connection with former players in general and former players that are playing professionally specifically is huge. I think we've gotten off to a pretty good start in terms of our first year and change in terms of building those relationships. We still got a ways to go. We want to, help those guys understand that they're always welcome here. This program was built by them, and in addition to, the coaches that came before us, and they're always welcome, and they're a huge part of what we're doing. Brad Buckman was at our team workout yesterday, and he was just so excited. He was wanted to jump off his chair and run out on the floor. And I told him, I said, hey man, you're always welcome here. You're a huge part of the success that's occurred here in the past, and just being around people like that is huge. And then specifically the guys that are in the NBA, like Tristan just winning an NBA championship. Let's face it, when kids coming out of high school are looking at different programs, they want to see, You know, what program can they go to where guys have gone on and had success? Well, we've only been here a year with our coaching staff, but if you look at the last 15, 16 years, there's been close to 20 guys, you know, that have played in the NBA out of this program. A lot of the credit for that goes to Coach Barnes and his staff for the job they did in recruiting and developing those guys. But those are guys that we want to point to as examples that, hey, if you come to Texas and you're successful and you can make the team be successful, you're going to be able to turn that into success at the next level.
Last one, are rebuilding here?
According to who?
No, I'm asking.
You're asking me? I don't really know what that means. I mean, I think you're always building. You know, I think we were building last year. We're going to be building this year. We're going to be building next year. And what are you building towards? I don't really like the word rebuilding because that kind of makes it sound like you took everything, you threw it in the trash, and now you're starting from scratch. But we're always building. You can make no mistake about that. I don't care if we win every game. We're still going to try to build. We're going to try to grow. And that's how it works when you're dealing with guys that are 18 to 22 years old. These guys are at a formative stage. We are trying to help them become the best version of themselves. Everybody in the media or from the outside wants to focus on just the basketball component of that. That's fine. That's what I'm evaluated on. But we're trying to build them as people and as players and as students so that they can go do something special. Nobody here has brought up the special day we had a month ago when 5 guys graduated from here, all right, from this program. That's as big of a deal to me as anything. You know, we talk about building. And I know that's not what you're talking about, but that's what I'm talking about. So, yeah, I want to build on the court, and I want to build these guys up as people. And for our coaching staff, that's our emphasis every day. If you want to call that rebuilding, you can. I don't call it that. We're going to have big goals this year. So I guess if you're referring to that, you know, our goals are going to be just as big as they ever are, knowing that we have a young group that's going to need to continue getting better and better in the off season, and then more importantly, as the season starts.